Hey everyone, welcome to the LEGO Machine Community Podcast, where we talk to veteran LEGO machine builders about themselves, what they're up to, and about the community. I'm your host Mika, also known as TurtleLegoProductions, and we're here with Marcel from AstonishingStudios. So Marcel created the channel on February 27th, 2011, and mainly uploads vending machines. So Marcel, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Mika. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good to get a lot of perspectives. All right. So first question is, when did you get started and why?
So I saw this video of an M&M's and Skittle machine back in 2010. I thought it was amazing. At the time, the main video recording devices were camcorders, so I wanted a flip share for Christmas. That was the main marketed video camera for beginners. Thankfully, I got it, and by that time, I'd spent so many months watching LEGO vending machines on YouTube that I felt confident enough to make and broadcast my own to YouTube. It's still up. That actually wasn't my first, but it was the first I uploaded. And from there was thankfully a large evolution to make content that actually fit my username of Astonishing Studios.
Yeah, the Me, Myself, and Pi video is really what started the community, especially like brought you into the community and so many other people. And through that video, you got inspired by that video, and then you inspired so many more people from your content. So it really just stems from that one video that grew this community to what it is today.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because, right, he re-uploaded the video. There was a 2009 version, then he re-uploaded a 2012 version. Somewhere along the lines, I uploaded a comment saying, "Oh, I wonder if he realizes the community he started." And like he never emailed me, but for some reason he decided the best way to contact me was through YouTube message. And like I feel like YouTube message was only like barely acceptable in 2011. I'm not even sure if you were on YouTube back then, but like they were on their way out between like 2012 to 2014, whenever they got rid of YouTube message. But I did eventually find a message in there being like, "Hey, what you're doing is great, keep it up," or whatever. So that was nice to see.
Yeah, I still was around with when YouTube messages were a thing, and I do remember that comment that you said. You commented like, "I wonder how much he's made an impact on the community." I do remember that comment.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear it.
All right, and second question is, do you have any builders that have inspired you over the years?
Yeah, I'd say the one in recent times was Nipe Nipe. I typically find that I'll find the most inspiration from builds built by, Asian creators. I'm not sure, maybe they're surrounded by like great architecture all the time and they just really take it in and use it in their Lego builds. So Nipe Nipe is definitely the biggest in recent times. For origins, of course, MeMyselfAndPi, like for where I started, as well as ElectryDragonite. And not so much a Lego machine builder, but someone who's inspired me recently is my good friend from Brick Science, that YouTube channel. He's uploaded some like fairly viral Lego Among Us videos. Yeah, just I saw his stuff like right at the start of the pandemic when he had shy of 2,000 subscribers, and I think like there needs to be more people in the Lego community in general who really show their personality and have personalities that are likable even beyond just having niche knowledge on a certain Lego theme.
Yeah. Nipe Nipe is, I definitely see the inspiration in your recent machines from him. And it wasn't until you did that collaboration with him until I found out about his channel. I was like, what? How did I not know about this guy? And there's like so many countless other smaller channels that we don't know about, especially from countries that don't really speak English, and there's a whole different side of the community there. But I do like the point that you brought up with like the personality of people. That's something that was kind of like missing out of the Lego machine community for so many years, and it wasn't until kind of like you kind of brought it out into the community once you started to like show your face and like talk to the audience. And we're starting to see that a little bit now, especially with smaller creators. And I'm doing it here right now with you, with this podcast, and with all these other people doing the podcast. So it's really nice to see the people behind the camera and the plastic bricks in front of the screen.
Exactly.
Yeah. Third question is, what's your favorite machine in the community?
I remember the Nipe Nipe McDonald's machine was, I think, my favorite of someone else's. I think like it was in 2018 or so, around that machine, when I really started thinking more about food automation. And Nipe Nipe, just seeing somebody else do it really gave me the push. Sometimes it's kind of hard getting inspiration for my next machine, simply because in the politest way possible, I kind of am the front runner. But in being the front runner, even when I look up stuff on YouTube and I want to do something that doesn't seem like a very rare concept, like right now I'm trying to make a mechanism that cracks eggs, I pulled it off fairly successfully. But there were really only like 2 videos I could look at, and I didn't really implement either mechanism because, say, I found that I could see in their video it wasn't working well, or I could just tell it wasn't a repeatable mechanism. So yeah, I would definitely say Nipe Nipe, and I wish I could say more machines have, been super impactful to me.
Yeah, well, even though you haven't really like gotten too much to build off of, you're still creating these new ideas and new styles of videos and machines that we haven't seen in the community, and that's really great. Someone has to start off with that stuff in order for other people to pick up on that. So it's really great to see, and I wonder how much of an impact your new machines will make on the community.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I kind of can look at my own like past work for inspiration and stuff. I can definitely say just from the McDonald's machine, I've been getting inspiration for how to operate on my future machines, whether it be, me buying more like curved tiles or something, or just choosing to like work with more messy foods. Like, right, the last one worked with raw meat, and then my egg cracker, dude, like when egg dries, it like leaves this scaly mess that you can't really see on your desk. I'm looking because my building desk is behind me. Yeah, it's almost funny, like the more I try to make astonishing content, the more messy everything gets, because I'm starting with the more raw concept of a food and then having to bake it to like a less messy state, honestly.
Well, yeah, that's the drawback to machines like that.
Yeah.
All right, and next question is, how do you come up with your machines? Like, especially the recent machines have just been a whole new step up of content. I'm wondering how you do that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of exhausting. Like the McDonald's McMuffin machine, time will only tell if I need to, but I feel like I won't go above that tier of astonishingness, at least for the next while, mainly because that was so exhausting and I felt like so worried that I hadn't uploaded to YouTube in a year due to school, where I'm like, I need to just get something out that is so fantastic, that's really the best I can do. I have a list on a whiteboard right to my side. For now, like, I'm not sure if you saw, I briefly uploaded a tutorial of these cereal machines. I just wanted to see how well a video could do if it wasn't very methodically planned, if it was just food automation is something I liked without worrying about what other people like, just to gauge, like, I guess, what is the minimum viewership a video could get. As you probably noticed, I unlisted it after a week because I realized that's too low, and it wasn't something that I feel embodies the mission statement or even the username of Astonishing Studios. So tutorials are kind of a weird space to navigate in terms of doing something that really reaches a high bar. The egg cracker I'm making is like a single function machine, and it's not really based off of an intellectual property. So we'll see how that goes. I definitely think higher than the cereal machines, but I wouldn't be surprised if that also suggests I should just go for fast food machines as the best return on my time. But yeah, just in the future for things that match the McDonald's standard, I would say, I'm thinking of like a Dunkin' Donuts machine, a Starbucks machine, I'm looking at the list over here, obviously. And of course, I feel like somebody can make 10 machines on McDonald's. They have so many iconic foods, so I definitely have some of those on my list.
Yeah, well, there's always a limit you can reach, and you can't always do better than the next machine. There will always be some machines that are not as astonishing as you said, but even then, just seeing some content is good to see, especially for younger and new builders to see the big channels uploading.
Yeah, in addition to that, I would love to see, although of course I'm a hypocrite because I'm not doing it, but I was considering over the summer, and once again, it'd be great if somebody almost uploaded like a weekly vlog of what they're doing. I know Jonas from ElectryDragonite and Jacob Conway briefly did it. They would like just upload like a silent video from their iPhone or something, but I'd like to see like a more honest somebody building it, being like, okay, this mechanism sucks, dude. I've been on this for 4 days. We need to get something materializing here, because that's really what it is. Like this egg mechanism, I'm almost humiliated to say it on the podcast. It took me 1 month to get a mechanism that worked reliably enough for a video. Now, obviously, like food automation is difficult. A lot of things I make wouldn't actually be a viable product because they aren't effective enough. They jam too much. I'm just going for something that works well enough for video. And just the fact that an egg cracker took 1 month, really, it just makes, it would just be relatable to see people struggling the same. And of course, as an aside for spending a ridiculous amount of time trying to crack an egg, I will be focusing on simpler mechanisms. But yeah, that pain of food automation is just so universal in this niche community, where I would love to see someone upload their open frustrations, or maybe it is something that I should just take up in the near future.
Yeah, this new type of content is really cool to see in the community instead of just the machines that we all see. And I'm doing this podcast as a different thing to expand on the types of videos the community makes. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing right now for this year. Probably won't be uploading any machines in the near future, but yeah, just trying to expand on that. So next question is, what would you like to see different in the community?
I feel like some people, and I'm glad that they are getting into the more personable side of things, because they're trying to be more personal in their videos, but I can tell some people are really uncomfortable. I mean, I don't know, I kind of feel for them, because when I showed my personality, I was really slow to it. But I feel like, just having more open and excited personalities would be good. Also people leaning towards really cooking food, and I guess not being scared to make such a bold machine. I mean, like, we don't need another, and I know it's bold to say, but it's true, we don't need another Lego candy machine. In some terms, we don't need just another Lego fast food machine just for the sake of slapping an IP on it. We really need something that is really bold in engineering, that innovates, and that can help, me get inspired, so I can help the next guy get inspired, and so that guy can help another builder get inspired. Yeah, we just need like a lot more inspiration and just thinking outside the box in this community.
Yeah, in terms of the personality thing, it's really just about practice and just keep making the content and just keep trying to make yourself more presentable. And in terms of machines, like you said, that the just like the vending machines or candy machines, we don't really need it anymore. We already saw that with like the early candy machines of just like the boxy gumball gobstopper machines that everyone was making for so many years. Same concept, same mechanism, all the same. And then once you started to get into like you and like ElectryDragonite started to get into like vending machines, then that was like the next step of the community. Like everyone's got to make these vending machines to satisfy the viewer. And now you've kind of like, you're kind of moving on from that and moving on to more food automation and making the machines. So it's just a repeating or a new process every time.
Yeah. Thank you for noticing that I'm trying to not even do like vending machine, but food automation. If it's not preparing the thing or trying to emulate a human task, I think it's not of a high bar enough to thrive in the 2020s.
Yeah. All right. And next question is from someone from the community asks, how do you balance your time between machine building and life?
I don't. No, yeah, like in my master's degree, it was a 1-year robotics program. At the time, it was the only one in the United States. So I couldn't, right? I didn't upload anything for that whole year, and that's because I was working on school. And even after I graduated, it took me like 3 months to get up the McDonald's machine because I was starting from the ground up. I mean, I've heard this saying before, because I did do YouTube a bit during my bachelor's program, from I think one of those like elitist school vloggers, like Ivy League school vloggers. They said, of sleep, of friendship, and of homework or good grades, one of those things cannot exist. So like, you don't need a social life. Is typically what I chose to have good grades, or just survive in engineering, and to upload machines in my bachelor's degree. For many people I know, I have a WhatsApp group with some people who are outside of the Lego candy machine or Lego machine community, and they agree that oftentimes what they give up is the social life, right? Especially if you're engineering something, you need your sleep to have an acute mind. So that's typically, it's typically a sacrifice and not really a balance. But being in a big family, I'm a bit fortunate that it does just work out where I'm always surrounded by companionship.
Yeah, I've heard of that system where there's like the try system, and then you lose one aspect. And I totally agree that there's always a compromise for using your time, and you only have so much time of each day. It's just how you spend it is what makes the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure, or maybe you've heard in film school by now, because this is something I heard in my high school video production class. The triangle maybe you have in mind is a quick video, a good video, and an affordable video, and then one of those things typically needs to go.
I haven't heard of that, but I'll keep that in mind for my other channel.
Okay, because I sometimes think about it for YouTube. I mean, usually just YouTube, you give up having no, you usually have a cheap video. You give up having a quick video, at least in this community, because man, people are uploading like only a handful of times a year.
Yeah. Moving on to the next question is, how has machine building helped you in life?
Yeah, tremendously. I mean, like when I go into, especially during my bachelor's program, when I was looking for internships, I would quite frankly just have it on my resume, and then like the first few minutes would just gravitate around Astonishing Studios. I ended up getting an internship at I'm not sure if it's a Fortune 50 company by now, but it was, at the time, it was like the 51st company on the Fortune 500, United Technologies. So I'm sure that played a huge part in it. I'm sure it was also a big reason why I got into my master's program, because I guess as a side story, we're sort of in these interesting times where standardized tests aren't required. And I actually didn't submit my standardized test because I didn't feel that it was good enough for them. But I'm sure my YouTube channel was really what set me over the edge as a qualified applicant for such a difficult program to get into. Let's see, besides that, I think it's been a very good social icebreaker, because sometimes people can't gauge your personality, especially if you don't have a hobby. Like the athletic guy in school, people will be like, oh, he's the designated popular boy, which is just like so lame now looking back at it in high school. But it was really nice to just have my footing in that space. And I know that there's a lot of YouTubers who will share that in high school their YouTube channel was made fun of, But for me, people were always really supportive of it. I don't know if that's just because I had a good following from pretty early on. But no, usually like having a YouTube channel pretty much in anything, unless it's something truly strange, it'll just do you wonders in the social world.
Yeah. Speaking to other people in the podcast, a lot of people have agreed that Lego machine building has helped them in life, and the common trend is Lego machines have inspired people to take on university and college degrees or whatever in engineering, robotics, programming, all sorts of things that relate to Lego machines. And it's really cool to see how these plastic bricks, starting from like 12, 11, whatever year olds, brought them some like purpose in life later on, and then they move on to careers and stuff. And it all just stems from some these videos that they watched, and they had the audacity to build these machines.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it like in something before this podcast, is that a lot of people in our community have gone into mechatronics, which is a really niche major that I've suggested to many people, or film. Like you've gone into film, Harm from Ultra Harm Games has gone into film. I'm not sure if you follow him on Instagram. His stuff is always very interesting, what he's got in his stories. So it's just been interesting to see how... There's a saying that my school, Northwestern, uses, whole-brained engineering. That's what it is, where it's like not only can you be like super focused on your niche, but you can also really contribute to other occupations.
Yeah. Just another thing that you brought up is like the social aspect of Lego machine building. I think that's a really important thing that a lot of people should know more about, because like you said, like a lot of people were supportive of it, and I haven't really asked the question to many people, but like I'm just gonna assume that a lot of people keep their Lego machines private, like they don't want other people to know about it. I used to tell people about my channel, but like after a few just like bad experiences, it was nothing bad. It's just annoying how people just bring it up. But like I think the assumption for people outside who don't like watch your videos but they know about your channel, they they think it's like it's Lego. It's like, oh, it's Lego. It's all childish. It's like nothing, but like they don't know about the content. But like honestly, just a message for those people, for the builders is just like, who cares about their opinions? You're building these machines. If you want to build these machines and you're having fun of it, just don't be ashamed of it. That's I've felt that for a few years, but like nowadays I really don't care. It's their opinions. They don't matter. Your opinion matters in this case. It's your channel.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that people have felt that way. I'm not sure, say, maybe if you want to go to a region of America that's open-minded to this stuff, come to New England because that's where I live. But obviously I can't speak for the rest of the world on how they'll take a Lego machine channel.
Yeah, it really depends, but just keep it strong and keep it to your. Just decide whatever if you want to publicize it or not. It's really your choice.
Yeah.
All right, and next question is, what type of machine would you like to see someone make in the community?
Well, I feel like anything that I think should be made is on my list of ideas. One I do have on my list, and I'll say it because it's so ridiculous, where it's like if somebody made it, even if there's only like the slightest grain of motivation on my end to make it, would be a life-size functioning Lego bowling alley. I was thinking about it, while I was in school, but as I'm out of school now, I'm like, yeah, that'd be like a whole year to make because it's so darn big. Yeah, like it actually looks like, I was looking online at Lego bowling mechanisms. It doesn't seem like a mission impossible, although there aren't many online. But just, yeah, making it life size, dude, you got to have a budget for that, or like a crazy inspiration for it.
Yeah, speaking of, I think whenever I build it, my next machine might be a bowling out free falling pin setter, so one without strings. Not life size, but just try to make it as realistic as possible.
Yeah, and that'd be obviously the first place somebody who's making a life-size bowling machine would have to start. But yeah, when you see like the string connected bowling alley videos on YouTube, like they were fine for their time, but nowadays it's just kind of like, I want somebody to make a free-falling Lego bowling alley so bad, to the point where it's just like, dude, like don't mislead me with these string ones.
Yeah, there's always opportunity. I think people just don't believe they can really do it, but if you put your mind to it, you can achieve it.
Yeah.
All right, next question is, what are you up to nowadays?
For me, I'm just working on Lego machines. I'm sort of curious about the education space, not to get a job as a full-time teacher. I still think I'm more likely to get a job in engineering. I think that's a more appropriate calling for me. But I'm working at so like the McDonald's guy in my video, right? So this connects nicely. He actually works at something that's kind of like a Boys and Girls Club called Astro in Rhode Island. That program, he's running a video production program starting like mid-January. So I'll be like the assistant instructor with that or something. And I think that's really good to just say, if in the future I want to teach my own Lego classes, that would be something interesting to do. I feel like there's some good opportunities in there besides just purely relying on the super volatile world of Google AdSense.
Yeah, that's cool to hear.
Thank you.
All right, and moving on to the main part of the program, what are your opinions on the past Lego machine community?
I guess there's just waves of the past machine community. So when I joined, strategically, in terms of like YouTube videos, nobody had a darn clue what they were doing, right? Like myself included. We just called it Lego Candy Machine version. If it's your 70th machine, you'll call it version 70. And then you'll put in like these star asterisk things, like an adjective, like some positive adjective.
Yeah.
You would change nothing but the design. You try to have a new mechanism. There were so many people saying they have a new mechanism when it's just the tiniest derivative of something else they've seen, and it would just dispense like starbursts or gobstoppers. Really, there was no brain to it. I remember I would be like, oh, I'm so motivated to upload, like to really innovate my content because this guy's now doing like overlays, just really like, and that's a video editing thing, like things that hilariously small were what I would call innovation back then. I would say after the candy machine phase, it was like the fast food phase. That was around my brick fat break of 2015, where Jonas, he was just pointing out to me, like, I didn't even notice. I had no observant eye. He said, oh, I noticed ever since I've switched from the version, whatever format, to say Lego Phantom Machine, that they've been doing better because they look more appetizing than version 45 in the thumbnail. So I eventually got on that with like a Kinder Egg machine once I came back from the brick fat break, and then I tried fast food machines, and that kind of brings us to where we are today. Still, I'm trying to make videos more long form. Especially I've noticed the biggest difference from before I was on YouTube, before my master's degree in 2019 to now in 2021 actually, how important the average view duration is, which is why my videos, you've seen them get a lot longer. Instead of being like 5 or 6 minutes, they'll be around 15. And I feel like that's helpful since I inject my personality into it to make it more worthwhile for people to watch without having to build something that is far more ambitious. But yeah, we're definitely at a point now where it's about being super strategic at looking at what works on YouTube and what doesn't, being very critical with yourself. And unfortunately, truth be told, one of the ways is just making very, very darn ambitious Lego food automation machines.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of things there, and it brings back a lot of memories, starting from the early days of the community with just like the design derivatives and mechanisms. Like we just had like the push and pull mechanism, locking arm mechanism. Those were like the standard mechanisms. And I remember when I can't remember exactly who or if people did this before, but I think it was ElectryDragonite when he made 3D designs, just like one step over. Like that was just like mind blowing. Like how did nobody think of that? So it was like even just the smallest thing like that was so cool to see, and that was super innovative, and like everyone started doing that, and I did get inspired by a lot of his and your designs, and then when you also mentioned the overlays for the video, I did that so often after you started doing that, the cringy overlays after the beat.
Yeah.
So many of those, but it brings back good memories, but that's really how the community's grown to be.
And that one stud over thing, that still sometimes surprises people. Like, I'm not sure if I'm taking this from real life or in my video comments, but sometimes people be like, how do you have that like design just magically hanging over in a different color? And it's like, dude, you can like just have it shoved into the wall and nobody's gonna see that part of the wall and you're good.
It's funny. It's honestly so funny.
Yeah.
So you kind of touched on the current community. Do you want to add anything else to that? Like just seeing not necessarily based on your machines or anything, but just like in the community in general. How do you see the community being now?
I think one person who's playing it right, but in a really left field way, like a way I'm not doing, is Puzz Lego. It seems like really either make something ridiculously ambitious like I've done with my McDonald's machine and plan to do for a lot of my content in 2021, or it's just upload a lot of stuff frequently, gain a cult following, which is what Puzz Lego has done. Even if the creations aren't the most amazing thing you've seen, they're definitely YouTube worthy if it's something you're going to upload, say, 3 or 4 times a week. But to the average person who probably can't upload 3 or 4 times a week, I would say, don't be afraid to make videos that, while they do have Lego engineering and food automation elements, perhaps pivot a little bit away from the food automation community or the Lego machine community, simply because it's so hard to even just to compete in the Lego food automation vertical, where if you can try to find something tangential in a space that hasn't really been filled before, you're going to find no competition. And I think really just the competition, and I apologize because I think I'm part of the problem for standards being where they are, is really just the best solution for somebody is to put themselves in a space where they're competing with nobody, but also trying to make ambitious stuff that has a cool factor to it or a wow factor that people will click for. But I personally feel like there's been, and it's unfortunate to say it, but I feel like there's been more a push on YouTube to upload quantity over quality, which is why you see these small channels that upload tutorials doing well. And I have to say, some of their stuff is really impressive for what they're able to make in 2 days. But I mean, at least as a 21-year-old who sort of is, I guess, a Lego machine snob, a lot of these things I wouldn't want to watch. And there's also, to keep up with the quantity over quality issue on YouTube, I'm not going to say names, but I'm sure there's one channel on the top of everyone's mind. There's one guy who has gotten very large for just copying other people's stuff and making it into his own tutorial.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see. There are some good aspects, just that how this particular channel it's growing a community in a different language, in a different place where their community doesn't really go, as I mentioned earlier. So it's really cool to see that aspect, but just the drawback is just the copying of machines. And for like most people watching, I'm pretty sure like almost all the older builders aren't really watching too many machines, especially this new community, because we've kind of already seen all those machines. Of course, there's a lot of really cool machines that we never thought of that people were making, but otherwise, like for my unbiased opinion as well, I'm not really watching a lot of these machines because they just look basic. It's really if the thumbnail and the machine interests me, I'll click on it and watch it. If it doesn't, I won't.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, with the channel we're thinking of, the one that's in a different language that's copying other people's stuff, like he could just like credit somebody in the description of his video. Like it really is so easy. And I don't know why people on YouTube, this has happened since our time, like they're uncomfortable giving credit to somebody. It's like you can make it subtle, like just put it in your description, and they're probably, the person who is the original creator is going to leave you alone and be like, well, I guess it's fair enough. But when they really don't credit you at all, that's just so slimy. Like, no, I'm not going to get into this, but I've had some instances where some very large creators with like millions of subscribers have copied me. And of course, like I probably wouldn't have got a lot of subscribers from it, but it's just heartbreaking to see such large creators even not doing very exemplary acts, like not crediting somebody where it's due.
Yeah, I agree. It's sad to see. Like all it is just a name and a link. That's all you need to do. That should be good enough. But like they're not giving like any credit at all, and they're crediting the machines for themselves. It's quick, easy content, but that's just dirty. That's just dirty. Moving on. What's your opinion on the future of the community based on the things you've said? I know you kind of touched on that, but like, do you want to add anything else to the future?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on how much we embrace camaraderie versus a community that is pulled together by YouTube success. In the latter case, I think there will be a further and further drifting of every YouTuber being his own island. But yeah, just really keeping in touch on Discord, or just making sure not keeping in touch super religiously or super frequently, but just making sure that you have a pulse in whatever community you're in. Regardless of someone's size, is I guess very important to make sure to say, look, we're all community here. We all build each other up. It's not about whether the Astonishing Studios island is getting a lot of views on his channel, or the Nipe Nipe island is getting a lot of views, or this small channel is getting a lot of views.
And that's why I set up this Discord, so people can get closer together. And it has helped people to stay more active in the community, especially the older builders. We're getting older and we're not having as much time to spend on the Lego Machine community. They're sometimes checking in and seeing like the new community grow. So that's really cool to see. And it also in particular that this community is so tight knit, like almost everyone knows each other, and especially like you, ElectryDragonite, and those other bigger builders, like you're still pretty active in the community. You're supporting small channels. That's a really cool thing to see that I think a lot of other communities don't really do, and especially since this community is still pretty small, that just complements the factors that I just mentioned. Like everyone's so tight knit, and everyone pretty much knows each other, and that's what really keeps the community growing.
Exactly. Yeah. Although I do think maybe the community will be small forever, and I guess that's something we have to be okay with. But yeah, like this island thought is something that we really have to make sure doesn't happen. We need to be like a real community who, I mean, granted, I'm not the most active person on the Discord group chat, but I make sure that there's a pulse in there sometimes from me, just letting people know what's up and letting people know that, I'm there for the camaraderie as well.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing to hear, and I fully agree on that.
Yeah.
All right, well, that is our time for the Lego Machine Community Podcast. Thank you so much, Marcel, for joining into this episode. Don't know how many episodes I might do. Depends on if some older veteran builders from 2015 and under will contact me. If you want to go for an episode, just email me. You can find my email in the description, or you can contact me on Discord. For all Lego Machine builders and people who are interested, there's a Discord server. Also, link in the description. Join that. It's a fun place and a good resource.
And I'm in there.
That you're in there, and this is our final episode of 2021. Thank you so much for everyone who's been watching every episode so far, and who knows, maybe we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.